My husband is cheating on me, but I don't care. My mother thinks I'm insane. The notification popped up on my laptop screen at exactly 11:47 p.m. $347.82 charged to joint credit card, Moonlight Boutique Hotel. I screenshot it, saved it to the folder labeled Evidence, March 2024, and added it to my spreadsheet. Row 47. 47 separate transactions I've documented since January. My husband Marcus is upstairs right now, probably texting her. Telling Jessica from accounting how sorry he is that their work conference got cancelled last minute, how he'll make it up to her soon. He has no idea I called the hotel this afternoon, pretending to be his assistant, and cancelled his reservation myself. The funny thing is, Marcus thinks he's so clever. He actually told me tonight that he was disappointed he couldn't go to Chicago for the client meeting because it would have been great for his career advancement. He said this while looking me straight in the eye, his hand on my shoulder like he was some devoted husband breaking bad news. I nodded sympathetically. Told him there would be other opportunities. Even rubbed his back a little. My mother would lose her mind if she could see me right now. 3 weeks ago, when I first told her what I'd discovered, she gripped my kitchen counter so hard her knuckles went white. Sarah Elizabeth Morrison, what is wrong with you? She'd hissed. Your husband is sleeping with some little homewrecker and you're sitting here like you're discussing the weather. But Mom doesn't understand strategy. She doesn't understand that screaming, crying, and throwing Marcus out on day one would have been the worst possible move. She married Dad in 1969, when women had fewer options. When catching your husband cheating meant you either forgave him or got screwed over in divorce court. It's 2024. I'm a strategic financial planner. This is what I do for a living. I help people protect their assets and plan for their future. Did she really think I wouldn't apply those same skills to my own situation? My phone buzzes. Text from Marcus, asterisk just remembered I need to work late tomorrow. Johnson Industries wants to move their quarterly review up, asterisk. There is no Johnson Industries in his client roster. I know because I've seen every single file in his home office while he was at the gym, another lie, since his gym membership expired 4 months ago. He's been meeting Jessica at her apartment instead. The one at 1247 Pine Street, Unit 4B, where he bought her that expensive lingerie set on Valentine's Day. The receipt was buried in his sock drawer like I'm some clueless housewife who doesn't do laundry. I text back, asterisk no problem honey. I'll keep dinner warm for you. Love you, asterisk. Each lie he tells me is another gift. More evidence. More ammunition. My lawyer, Patricia Hendricks, calls it the long game. We've been meeting every Tuesday for 6 weeks now, always during my lunch break, always at her downtown office. Patricia specializes in high-asset divorce cases where infidelity is involved. She's never lost one. The beauty of your approach, Sarah, she told me last week, is that Marcus is hanging himself. Every hotel room, every dinner, every gift, it's all evidence of marital misconduct. And since he's using joint funds to finance his affair, that's dissipation of marital assets. In this state, that's grounds for you to receive compensatory judgment. Translation, I'm going to take him for everything he's worth. And he has no idea what's coming. The real breakthrough came on a Thursday. Marcus had left his laptop open on the kitchen counter, another sign of how comfortable he's gotten with his deception. The screen showed his email, and there it was, a thread between him and Jessica dating back 7 months. 7 months, not the 3 I originally thought. I photographed everything with my phone, my hands steady as a surgeon's. The timestamps told a story that made my chess game even more valuable. Their affair started 2 weeks before Marcus convinced me to refinance our house and add him as the primary account holder on my inherited savings account, the $127,000 my grandmother left me that was supposed to be for Emma and Tyler's college funds. He'd been planning this longer than I thought. The emails were pathetic, really. Marcus writing things like, my wife doesn't understand me the way you do, and you make me feel alive again, Jess. Jessica responding with heart emojis and complaints about her studio apartment, how she dreamed of having a real home someday. The subtext was nauseating. She was 24, fresh out of college, and clearly saw my husband as her ticket to suburban comfort. What they didn't realize was that Marcus barely makes $68,000 a year as a mid-level accounts manager. I make twice that, plus my consulting fees. The house they're probably fantasizing about? I bought it. The BMW he drives to their little rendezvous? My insurance covers it. Even his designer suits come from money I earned. I forwarded everything to my secure email, then cleared the sent folder and search history. The hardest part isn't Marcus's betrayal, it's maintaining the performance. Last night, Emma asked me why Daddy's been going to work so much and if everything was okay. She's 8, but she's perceptive. Kids always know when something's wrong. Daddy's just working really hard for our family, I told her, braiding her hair for school. Sometimes grown-ups have to make sacrifices. Tyler, who's 6, looked up from his cereal. Is Daddy sad? He seems sad. That stopped me cold. Even a 6-year-old could see what I'd been refusing to acknowledge, that Marcus isn't just a cheating husband, he's a father who's about to lose everything because he couldn't keep his pants zipped. Daddy's fine, sweetheart. Eat your breakfast. But Tyler's observation bothered me all day. That evening, I watched Marcus more carefully during dinner. He was distracted, pushing food around his plate, checking his phone every few minutes. When Emma showed him her math homework, he barely glanced at it. When Tyler asked if they could throw football this weekend, Marcus mumbled something about being busy. He's already checked out. He's already chosen Jessica over his children, even if he hasn't admitted it to himself yet. That night, I made a discovery that changed everything. While transferring photos from my phone to my encrypted laptop file, I noticed a charge I'd missed, $3,200 to Cartwright and Associates. I know that name, they're a high-end divorce law firm downtown. Marcus has hired a lawyer. My blood went cold, but then I felt something else, satisfaction. He's getting ready to file first, which means he thinks he has the upper hand. He probably believes that if he files first and frames it right, he can claim irreconcilable differences, avoid the adultery charges, and maybe even get joint custody and alimony from me. Poor, stupid Marcus. He's about to find out that I've been documenting everything for months, and I already know about every single move he's planning to make. Patricia was right. He really is hanging himself. The next morning, I did something I'd never done before. I called in sick to work and followed my husband. Marcus left the house at 7:43 a.m., same as always, kissing my cheek and telling me he'd probably be late again tonight. Big presentation for the Morrison account, he said. The irony of using my maiden name for his fake client wasn't lost on me. I waited exactly 12 minutes, then got in my Honda, not the BMW he'd recognize, and drove to his office building downtown. Sure enough, his car was in the parking garage. I positioned myself across the street at a coffee shop with a clear view of the exit and settled in to wait. At 10:17 a.m., Marcus walked out of the building with Jessica. I'd seen her LinkedIn photo, but seeing her in person was different. She was everything I expected, young, blonde, wearing a dress that cost more than she should be able to afford on an entry-level salary. They weren't touching, but the way they walked together, the way she looked up at him, made my stomach clench. They got into his BMW and drove to Riverside Park. I followed at a distance, parking behind a maintenance shed where I could see the pond area through my telephoto lens, a birthday gift from Marcus 3 years ago that I was now using to document his affair. What I captured was better than I could have hoped for. 43 photos of them on a blanket, sharing lunch, Marcus feeding her strawberries, Jessica with her head on his shoulder. The timestamps would prove he was with her during work hours, which meant he was lying to his employer too. But then I saw something that made my hands shake. Jessica held up her left hand, and even from a distance, I could see something sparkling on her ring finger. I zoomed in with the camera. It was definitely a ring. Not an engagement ring, I would have seen a charge that large, but something significant enough that she kept admiring it, holding it up to catch the sunlight. My phone was already dialing Patricia's number before I'd fully processed what I was seeing. Sarah? Aren't you supposed to be at work? He gave her a ring, I said, still watching them through the lens. Not an engagement ring, but something. A promise ring maybe? Are you following them right now? Yes, and before you tell me not to, I need this documentation. Patricia, if he's making promises to her, if he's escalating the relationship. Sarah, stop. Where are you exactly? I told her about the park, about the photos, about Marcus lying to his boss. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Email me everything you took today, but Sarah, you need to be careful. If Marcus realizes you're following him, it could compromise everything we built. He could claim harassment, stalking. I know. But Patricia, there's something else. I think she might be pregnant. The words came out before I'd even fully formed the thought, but suddenly everything clicked into place. Jessica's loose-fitting dress. The way Marcus had been extra attentive to her, his hand hovering protectively near her back. The ring that was probably a promise that he'd leave me for her. Sarah, are you sure? No, but the timeline fits. The escalation fits. The ring fits. I watched Marcus help Jessica to her feet, his hand briefly touching her stomach. Oh God. Patricia, what if she's pregnant? Then we move up our timeline. How soon can you get to my office? I was already walking back to my car. 20 minutes. Make it 15. Sarah, if Jessica is pregnant, everything changes. We need to file first, and we need to file now. Patricia's office felt smaller than usual, like the walls were closing in. I sat across from her mahogany desk, my hand still trembling slightly as I scrolled through the photos on my camera. These are good, Sarah. Really good. Patricia adjusted her reading glasses, examining the images on my camera's display. The timestamp shows 10:17 a.m. on a Tuesday. His employer will have records showing he called in sick or took personal time. Either way, it's more evidence of deception. I zoomed in on the photo where Jessica's hand was most visible. What do you think about the ring? Could be anything. Promise ring, gift, even costume jewelry. But combined with your suspicion about pregnancy. Patricia leaned back in her leather chair. Sarah, I need to ask you something, and I need you to think carefully before you answer. Are you prepared for the possibility that Marcus has already made his choice? That he might be planning to leave you for her regardless of what we do? The question hit harder than I expected. What do you mean? I mean, if Jessica is pregnant, Marcus might file for divorce within weeks, not months. He might try to frame himself as the victim, unhappy husband who found love elsewhere, wants to do right by his new family. The narrative becomes about his right to happiness instead of his infidelity and financial misconduct. I stared out her office window at the city below. People walking to lunch meetings, living their normal lives while mine was imploding in slow motion. How long do we have? Based on the Cartwright and Associates charge, I'd say 2 weeks. Maybe 3 if we're lucky. Patricia pulled out a thick folder. Which is why I've been preparing these papers since our last meeting. Dissolution of marriage citing adultery and dissipation of marital assets. We're asking for full custody of Emma and Tyler, the house, your inherited savings account, and spousal support. Spousal support? I make more money than he does. Exactly. That's why we're asking for it from him. It's symbolic, but it sends a message. Plus, if he's planning to support Jessica and potentially a baby on his salary, any additional financial burden makes his life significantly more difficult. The vindictive part of me, the part that had been growing stronger each day for 3 months, felt a surge of satisfaction. But then I thought about Emma asking why Daddy seemed sad, and Tyler wanting to play football with his father. Patricia, what happens to my kids when I destroy their father? She set down the papers and looked at me directly. Sarah, you're not destroying their father. He destroyed himself the moment he chose to have an affair and steal from his children's college fund to finance it. You're protecting Emma and Tyler's future. My phone buzzed. Text message from Marcus, asterisk working through lunch today. Might not be home until after 8. Love you, asterisk. I showed Patricia the message. He sent this at 11:43. I have timestamped photos of him having a picnic with Jessica at 11:40. Screenshot it. Add it to your evidence folder. Patricia opened her calendar. Sarah, I need a decision. Do we file this week, or do we wait and risk him filing first? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Emma School. Mrs. Morrison? This is Principal Davidson. Emma had a bit of an incident today during lunch. She's fine, but she got into an argument with another student and said some things that concerned her teacher. Could you come in this afternoon? My chest tightened. What kind of things? It's probably better discussed in person. Are you available around 2:30? I looked at Patricia, who had heard enough of the conversation to understand. I'll be there. After I hung up, Patricia leaned forward. Sarah, kids know. They always know when their parents' marriage is falling apart, even when the parents think they're hiding it perfectly. Emma's 8 years old. She shouldn't have to deal with this. Which is exactly why we need to control the narrative before Marcus does. If we file first, we control how this gets presented to the children, to the court, to everyone. Patricia slid the divorce papers across the desk. I need your signature on page 12. We can have these filed by Thursday. I stared at the documents. Once I signed these, there was no going back. No more chess game, no more strategy sessions, no more pretending everything was normal while I gathered evidence. What if I'm wrong about the pregnancy? Then we're still in a stronger position than if we wait. Patricia's voice was gentle but firm. Sarah, you've spent 3 months building an airtight case. Don't let fear make you throw away that advantage. I picked up the pen, then set it down again. I need to see what happened with Emma first. Can I have until tomorrow morning? Patricia nodded. But Sarah, if Marcus comes home tonight and asks for a divorce, all of this preparation becomes worthless. You'll be playing defense instead of offense. As I drove to Emma's school, I couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change, whether I was ready or not. Principal Davidson's office smelled like disinfectant and disappointment. Emma sat in the chair next to me, her legs swinging nervously, not quite reaching the floor. She'd been unusually quiet during the drive over, which was never a good sign with my daughter. Emma told her friend Sophia that her daddy has a girlfriend, Principal Davidson said carefully, glancing between us. When Sophia said that wasn't possible because daddies are married to mommies, Emma got upset and said that daddies lie sometimes. My stomach dropped, but I kept my voice steady. I see. She also mentioned something about her daddy going to work too much and that you've been doing math about daddy on your computer late at night. Principal Davidson leaned forward slightly. Mrs. Morrison, we're not trying to intrude, but when children start expressing anxiety about their home situation. Emma looked up at me with those wide brown eyes that were exactly like Marcus's. Mommy, I didn't mean to get in trouble. I was just mad at Sophia because she said I was lying. You're not in trouble, sweetheart. I put my arm around her, feeling the weight of every decision I'd made over the past 3 months. Sometimes grown-up situations are complicated. After we left school, I took Emma for ice cream, something I never did on a Tuesday afternoon. We sat in the parking lot of Sweet Cream Dairy, her with chocolate chip, me with a vanilla cone I wasn't eating. Emma, what made you think Daddy has a girlfriend? She was quiet for a moment, concentrating on her ice cream. He smells different when he comes home. Like flowers. And he used to read me stories every night, but now he's always on his phone. Tyler heard him talking to someone and saying I miss you too, but you were right there making dinner. 6-year-old Tyler, who apparently noticed everything. And also, Emma continued, I saw him hide a receipt in his sock drawer when I was putting away laundry with you. Why would Daddy hide a receipt unless it was for something bad? My 8-year-old daughter was more observant than Marcus gave her credit for. The lingerie receipt from Valentine's Day, she'd seen him hide it. When we got home, I sent Emma upstairs to start her homework and immediately called Patricia. The kids know, I said without preamble. Emma's talking about it at school. Patricia, I can't put them through a drawn-out legal battle where their father's affair gets dragged through the courts. Sarah, take a breath. What exactly happened? I told her about the school meeting, about Emma's observations, about Tyler overhearing phone conversations. Patricia was quiet for a long moment. This actually supports our timeline, she said finally. If the children are already being affected, it demonstrates that Marcus's behavior is impacting family stability. It strengthens our custody argument. I don't want to use my kids as weapons. You're not. You're protecting them from a father who's already checked out emotionally. Sarah, has Marcus asked about Emma's day? Did he even know there was a problem at school? I looked at my phone. No missed calls, no texts asking about Emma. He had no idea his daughter was struggling because he was too busy planning his new life with Jessica. At 6:47 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mrs. Morrison? This is Detective Reynolds with the Financial Crimes Division. I'm calling about some irregularities we've discovered in your husband's business accounts. Is this a good time to talk? My blood ran cold. Financial crimes? We've been investigating Marcus's employer for potential embezzlement. Your husband's name came up in connection with some suspicious transactions. We'd like to schedule a time to speak with you, preferably without Mr. Morrison present. I walked into the kitchen, as far from Emma's homework spot as possible. What kind of transactions? I can't discuss details over the phone, but Mrs. Morrison, has your husband had access to any large sums of money recently? Inheritance, savings accounts, anything like that? My grandmother's $127,000. The money Marcus had convinced me to put him on as primary account holder. The money that was supposed to be for Emma and Tyler's college funds. Detective Reynolds, I think I need to speak with my attorney first. Of course. But Mrs. Morrison, if your husband has access to your personal accounts, you might want to check those balances. Soon. After I hung up, I ran upstairs to my laptop, hands shaking as I logged into our banking website. The joint checking account showed a balance of $3,247. Normal. The savings account showed $892. Also normal. But my grandmother's account, the one with Marcus as primary holder, showed a balance of $31,018. Nearly $96,000 was missing. I scrolled through the transaction history with growing horror. Transfers to accounts I didn't recognize. Cash withdrawals in amounts just under $10,000, clearly structured to avoid reporting requirements. The dates corresponded perfectly with my evidence folder. Every hotel room, every dinner, every gift to Jessica had been funded by my children's future. But there was more. Much more. A $15,000 transfer to something called Riverside Property Management. A $22,000 payment to JP Morgan Holdings. Thousands in cash withdrawals that couldn't possibly be explained by his affair spending. Marcus wasn't just cheating on me. He was stealing from us. And if the police were involved, he might be stealing from his employer too. My phone buzzed. Text from Marcus, asterisk going to be very late tonight. Don't wait up, asterisk. For the first time in 3 months, I felt something crack in my carefully constructed composure. This wasn't a chess game anymore. This was survival. I called Patricia's emergency line. Patricia, we're filing tomorrow. First thing in the morning. Sarah, what happened? He stole our children's college money. All of it. And the police think he might be embezzling from his company too. Jesus. Sarah, you need to freeze every account he has access to, right now, tonight. Already on it. As I started making calls to banks and credit card companies, one thought kept running through my mind. Marcus had underestimated me for the last time. The bank's fraud department kept me on hold for 17 minutes while Emma and Tyler ate dinner downstairs, completely unaware that their father had stolen their entire future. When the representative finally came back on the line, her voice was professionally sympathetic but firm. Mrs. Morrison, I understand your concern, but Mr. Morrison is listed as the primary account holder. Legally, he had the right to make those withdrawals. He's the primary holder on an account I inherited from my grandmother. The money was designated for my children's education. I'm sorry, but that's a matter for the courts to decide. Without a restraining order or court injunction, we can't freeze the account. I hung up and immediately called the credit card companies. Same story. Marcus's name was on everything, which meant he could drain whatever was left before I could stop him. By 9:30 p.m., I'd made 14 phone calls and accomplished nothing except confirming how thoroughly he'd positioned himself to destroy us financially. Tyler appeared in the kitchen doorway in his dinosaur pajamas. Mommy, why are you crying? I hadn't realized I was. I wiped my eyes quickly and knelt down to his level. Just some grown-up stuff, buddy. Nothing for you to worry about. Is it about Daddy? Before I could answer, Emma's voice came from the top of the stairs. Tyler, come brush your teeth. Mommy's doing her math about Daddy again. Her math about Daddy. That's what my 8-year-old daughter called watching me document her father's betrayal night after night. After I tucked them both into bed, I sat in my home office staring at the evidence I'd so carefully compiled. Bank statements, photographs, hotel receipts, text messages, 3 months of documentation that suddenly felt pathetically inadequate. Marcus had been stealing from us for months, possibly years, and I'd been so focused on catching his affair that I'd missed the bigger picture. My laptop chimed with an email notification. Patricia, responding to my earlier message about filing in the morning, asterisk Sarah, I've been thinking about the detective's call. If Marcus is under investigation for embezzlement, filing for divorce right now might complicate things. The police might freeze assets as part of their investigation, which could work in our favor. Can you call me first thing tomorrow before we file, asterisk? I was typing my response when I heard Marcus's car in the driveway. 11:43 p.m., exactly when he said he'd be home. At least he was consistent in his lies. I quickly closed my laptop and grabbed a book from the shelf, positioning myself on the couch like I'd been reading peacefully all evening. The front door opened with its familiar squeak, something Marcus had been promising to fix for 2 years. Hey babe, he called softly. You still up? Just finishing this chapter. I held up the book. Ironically, it was a financial planning guide I'd been using for a client presentation. Marcus walked into the living room, and I studied his face carefully. He looked tired, but not guilty. Not like a man who'd just spent the evening with his pregnant mistress while police investigated his financial crimes. If anything, he seemed almost relieved. How were the kids tonight? He asked, loosening his tie. Emma had some trouble at school today. The principal called. That got his attention. What kind of trouble? Is she okay? For a moment, he sounded like the concerned father he used to be, and something twisted painfully in my chest. She's fine. Just some playground drama with a friend. Marcus nodded, already pulling out his phone. Good. Hey, I might have to travel more over the next few weeks. Some new opportunities coming up that could really benefit our family. Our family. He said it while scrolling through what were probably text messages from Jessica, planning the new life he was building with my children's college money. What kind of opportunities? Just some consulting work. Higher pay, better long-term prospects. He looked up from his phone with what I used to think was his charming smile. Sarah, I know I've been working a lot lately, but it's all for us. For Emma and Tyler's future. The audacity was breathtaking. Marcus was sitting in our living room, talking about our children's future, while having stolen $96,000 from their education fund to finance his affair and whatever other schemes the police were investigating. That sounds wonderful, I said, matching his tone perfectly. I'm proud of how hard you're working for our family. Something flickered across his face, surprise, maybe even guilt, but it was gone so quickly I might have imagined it. I'm going to grab a shower, he said, heading toward the stairs. After he disappeared upstairs, I sat in the dark living room listening to the water run, thinking about Detective Reynolds' warning to check our account balances. If Marcus was planning to disappear with Jessica, he'd need more money than what he'd already stolen. Which meant he wasn't done. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Asterisk, is this Sarah Morrison? This is Jessica Chen. We need to talk, asterisk. I stared at my phone screen, reading Jessica's message 3 times before my brain processed it fully. The shower was still running upstairs, Marcus singing off-key like he didn't have a care in the world, while his mistress was texting his wife at midnight. My first instinct was to screenshot the message from my evidence folder. My second was to delete it and pretend it never happened. Instead, I found myself typing back, how did you get this number? The response came immediately, asterisk from Marcus's phone while he was in the bathroom. Mrs. Morrison, I know you know about us. He doesn't think you do, but I can tell. I've been watching you, asterisk. Watching me? My hand started trembling as I typed, what do you want? Asterisk to meet. Tomorrow. There are things you need to know about Marcus that go way beyond our relationship, asterisk. Before I could respond, another message appeared, asterisk he's been lying to both of us. The money he's been spending on me? It's not just from your accounts. And Mrs. Morrison. I'm not the only one, asterisk. Not the only one. The words hit me like a physical blow. I heard the shower turn off upstairs and quickly deleted the message thread, but Jessica's words kept echoing, I'm not the only one. Marcus came downstairs 20 minutes later in his pajamas, looking relaxed and refreshed. He kissed the top of my head as he passed the couch, something he hadn't done in months, and I had to force myself not to flinch. You should get some sleep, babe. It's almost 1 in the morning. Just thinking about some client portfolios, I said, closing my book. Marcus, do you ever think about what would happen if something happened to one of us? Financially, I mean? He paused halfway to the kitchen. That's morbid. Why? I was updating our insurance beneficiaries today and realized we haven't reviewed our financial planning in years. Maybe we should sit down this weekend and go through everything together. All our accounts, investments, everything. I watched his face carefully. There it was, a slight tightening around his eyes, the way his jaw tensed almost imperceptibly. He was definitely hiding something bigger than the affair. Sure, we can do that, he said casually. Though honestly, you handle all that stuff better than I do. I trust you completely. The irony was staggering. He trusted me completely while stealing nearly $100,000 from our children and apparently cheating with multiple women. After Marcus went to bed, I waited until I heard his snoring, then crept back to my laptop. I needed to know what Jessica meant about other women. If Detective Reynolds was investigating financial crimes at Marcus's company, and Jessica was hinting at a bigger pattern. I logged into our cell phone account and pulled up Marcus's text message logs for the past 6 months. The account showed numbers, but not message content. Still, patterns emerged quickly. 3 numbers that he texted multiple times per day, Jessica's number, which I recognized from my previous investigation, another number with a 847 area code, and a third with a 312 area code. The 847 number had been active for 8 months. The 312 number went back almost a year. I cross-referenced the numbers with the dates from my evidence folder. Every time Marcus claimed to be working late or traveling for business, he'd exchanged multiple texts with at least one of these numbers. Sometimes all 3 on the same day. Marcus wasn't just having an affair. He was running some kind of operation. At 2:17 a.m., I made a decision that 3 months ago would have seemed impossible. I texted Jessica back, *meet me tomorrow at 3 p.m. Riverside Park, by the pond where you had lunch with my husband yesterday, *. Her response was immediate, you were following us? *, I was protecting my children. Be there, or I go to the police with everything I know, *. Mrs. Morrison, after tomorrow, you might want to go to the police anyway. Marcus is in deeper than either of us realized, *. I closed the laptop and sat in the dark kitchen, listening to my husband's peaceful snoring from upstairs. In 8 hours, I was supposed to meet Patricia and file divorce papers based on adultery and financial misconduct. But now it seemed like adultery was the least of Marcus's crimes. My phone buzzed one more time. Another unknown number, Mrs. Morrison, this is Amy Walsh. Jessica gave me your number. If you're meeting her tomorrow, I should be there too. Marcus told me his wife didn't exist, *. I stared at the message until the words blurred together. His wife didn't exist. That's what he told Amy Walsh, whoever she was, about me. By tomorrow afternoon, I was going to find out exactly what kind of man I'd been married to for 8 years. And somehow, I didn't think the answer was going to be anything I was prepared for. The meeting at Riverside Park felt surreal, like I was living in someone else's nightmare. I arrived 15 minutes early and positioned myself on a bench with a clear view of the pond where I'd photographed Marcus and Jessica just yesterday. My hands were steady, but my heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Jessica arrived first, looking nothing like a competent woman from my surveillance photos. She was pale, wearing oversized sunglasses despite the overcast sky, and kept glancing over her shoulder like she expected Marcus to materialize behind her. When she spotted me, she hesitated for a long moment before walking over. Mrs. Morrison? Sarah, I said, studying her face. Up close, she looked younger than 24. And you can drop the act. I know everything about the hotel rooms, the jewelry, the lunches in this exact spot. She sat down heavily beside me. You don't know everything. That's why I texted you. Before I could respond, a second woman approached, tall, redhead, probably in her early 30s. This had to be Amy Walsh. Are you Sarah? Amy asked, and when I nodded, she sat down on the other side of me. This is so fucked up. Sorry, but there's no other way to put it. I looked between them. How long have you both been sleeping with my husband? 8 months, Jessica said quietly. But Amy's been with him longer. 14 months, Amy confirmed. I'm a pharmaceutical sales rep. I met Marcus at a conference in Denver. He told me he was divorced, that his ex-wife had moved to California with his kids. She pulled out her phone and showed me a photo of herself and Marcus at what looked like a hotel bar. He said he was paying alimony and child support, which was why he couldn't afford to take me anywhere expensive. The timeline made my stomach clench. 14 months ago, Marcus had convinced me we needed to refinance the house because interest rates were dropping. He'd handled all the paperwork, told me it was just a simple rate adjustment. I'd never seen the final documents. Jessica, I said, turning to her, yesterday I thought you might be pregnant. She shook her head. I thought so too, for about a week. But no. Marcus was excited about the possibility though. He said if I was pregnant, it would solve a lot of problems for him. What kind of problems? Amy leaned forward. Sarah, can I call you Sarah? Marcus has been borrowing money from both of us. Small amounts at first, but it's been escalating. He told Jessica he needed help with his mother's medical bills. He told me his ex-wife was threatening to take him back to court for more child support. My mouth went dry. How much money? I've given him about $12,000 over the past year, Amy said. Jessica? $8,000 since January, Jessica whispered. He said once his promotion came through, he'd pay us both back and we could get a place together. $20,000 from his girlfriends, $96,000 from my children's college fund, and Detective Reynolds investigating him for embezzlement at work. The scope of Marcus's deception was staggering. There's more, Jessica said. Last week, Marcus asked me to open a bank account in my name. He said it was for a surprise he was planning. I thought maybe an engagement ring. But then Amy texted me this morning. Amy pulled out a folded paper from her purse. He asked me to do the same thing 3 months ago. I opened it but never gave him the account information because something felt wrong. She handed me the paper. Then I got curious and looked up public records for your address. I unfolded the paper. It was a real estate assessment showing that our house, the house I bought before marrying Marcus, had been appraised last month at $847,000. There was a note in Marcus's handwriting, equity available, approximate $340,000. He was planning to disappear with Jessica, using bank accounts in his girlfriend's names to hide assets while selling the house I'd worked 12 years to buy. When? I asked, my voice barely steady. When is this supposed to happen? Jessica and Amy exchanged glances. He told me he was filing for divorce next week, Jessica said. That once the paperwork was started, we could be more open about our relationship. He told me he was moving to Phoenix for a new job, Amy added. Asked if I wanted to come with him for a fresh start. Different stories for different women, but the same timeline. Next week. Marcus was planning to destroy my life next week, and he'd recruited his mistresses to help him do it. I stood up abruptly. I have to go. Sarah, wait, Amy called. What are you going to do? I looked back at both women, victims in their own way, but also accomplices in the systematic destruction of my family. I'm going to make sure Marcus never gets the chance to lie to anyone ever again. As I walked back to my car, my phone was already ringing Patricia's number. The chess game was over. It was time for checkmate. Patricia answered on the first ring. Sarah? How did the meeting go? It's worse than we thought, I said, sitting in my car outside the park. Patricia, he's been running a con for over a year. Multiple women, fake identities, stolen money from his girlfriends too. And he's planning to file for divorce next week. Slow down. Multiple women? I told her everything, Amy Walsh, the pharmaceutical rep who thought I lived in California, Jessica believing she was going to be Marcus's wife, the $20,000 he borrowed from them combined, the bank accounts he wanted opened in their names. Jesus Christ, Patricia muttered. Sarah, this isn't just adultery anymore. This is fraud. Wire fraud, bank fraud, identity theft, we're talking federal crimes. There's more. He had our house appraised without telling me. Patricia, I think he's been planning this for months, maybe longer. The refinance I told you about? I never actually saw those final papers. Sarah, where are you right now? Sitting in a parking lot having a panic attack, I admitted. My husband is a criminal. My children's father is going to prison. No, your children's father made choices that are going to have consequences. There's a difference. Patricia's voice was firm but gentle. Sarah, I need you to listen carefully. Go home, act completely normal. Don't let Marcus know anything has changed. Tomorrow morning, we're not just filing for divorce, we're going to the FBI. The FBI? Wire fraud across state lines makes this federal. Plus, if he's been embezzling from his employer and using interstate commerce to commit fraud, the Bureau will want everything you've documented. I heard her typing in the background. How much time do we have before he files? Jessica said next week. But Patricia, what if he runs? What if he takes what's left of our money and disappears? Then we make sure he can't. Sarah, I'm calling in a favor with a friend at the prosecutor's office. We're going to freeze everything tonight, bank accounts, credit cards, everything. By tomorrow morning, Marcus won't be able to buy coffee without us knowing about it. When I got home, Marcus was in the kitchen making himself a sandwich, still in his work clothes. The normalcy of the scene felt obscene given what I'd learned in the past 3 hours. Hey babe, he said cheerfully. How was your afternoon? You were gone longer than usual. Just ran some errands. I set my purse down carefully, hyper-aware of every movement. Marcus, I've been thinking about what we discussed last night. About reviewing our finances? He took a large bite of his sandwich, not meeting my eyes. What about it? Maybe we should do it this weekend after all. I pulled some account statements today and noticed a few transactions I didn't recognize. I watched his face carefully. Nothing major, just want to make sure everything's accurate. There it was, the slight pause mid-chew, the way his shoulders tensed. What kind of transactions? Some cash withdrawals I don't remember making. Probably just me being forgetful. I smiled innocently. You know how scatterbrained I get with client deadlines. Marcus relaxed visibly. Yeah, those were probably mine. I've been carrying more cash lately, you know how some clients prefer cash payments for consulting work. Another lie, delivered so smoothly I almost admired the craftsmanship. If I hadn't spent the afternoon with his victims, I might have actually believed him. That makes sense, I said. I'm going to check on the kids' homework. As I headed upstairs, Marcus called after me, Sarah? I love you. You know that, right? I turned back to look at my husband of 8 years, the father of my children, the man who'd stolen their future and was planning to abandon them next week for a 24-year-old he'd been lying to about his entire identity. I love you too, I said. It was the last lie I would ever tell him. That night, I waited until Marcus was asleep before checking our joint account one more time. The balance had dropped another $2,800 since yesterday morning. 3 transactions, $1,200 to Sunset Travel Agency, $900 to Premium Storage Solutions, and $700 cash withdrawal from an ATM I didn't recognize. He was accelerating his timeline. I screenshot everything and forwarded it to Patricia, then crept downstairs to Marcus's home office. His laptop was password protected, but I knew his patterns. He'd used Emma's birthday for everything since she was born, 051216. The screen unlocked immediately. His browser history made my blood run cold. Searches for how long does divorce take in Illinois, hiding assets during divorce, international wire transfer limits, and countries without extradition treaties. The last search was from 3 hours ago, right after I'd mentioned reviewing our finances. Marcus wasn't just planning to leave me. He was planning to flee the country. I was photographing his search history when I heard footsteps on the stairs. I quickly closed the laptop and grabbed a magazine from his desk, positioning myself in his chair like I'd been reading. Sarah? What are you doing down here? Marcus appeared in the doorway, hair messy from sleep. Couldn't sleep. Too much caffeine today. I held up the magazine, Financial Planning Quarterly. Thought I'd catch up on some reading. He rubbed his eyes, looking genuinely confused. It's 2:30 in the morning. Come back to bed. In a few minutes. I'm almost done with this article about asset protection strategies. The irony wasn't lost on either of us, but Marcus just nodded and shuffled back upstairs. I waited 20 minutes before following him, my mind racing with everything I discovered. The next morning, Patricia called while I was making Emma's lunch. Sarah, we have a problem. I contacted my friend at the prosecutor's office about freezing Marcus's accounts, and they're already aware of him. My hand froze on Emma's sandwich. What do you mean? The FBI has been investigating a multi-state fraud ring targeting pharmaceutical companies. Marcus's employer, Hartwell and Associates, is involved. They've been monitoring several employees' financial activities, including Marcus's. For how long? 6 months. Sarah, they know about the missing money from your grandmother's account. They know about his girlfriends in other states. They've been building a case. Emma looked up from her cereal. Mommy, you look sick. Are you okay? I forced a smile and turned away from her. Patricia, where does this leave me and the kids? That's what I need to discuss with you. The FBI wants to interview you this afternoon. They need to know what you've documented, and they need to understand the timeline of Marcus's behavior at home. Are we in trouble? Did I do something wrong by not reporting this sooner? No, Sarah. You're witnesses, not suspects. But... Patricia paused. There's something else. They think Marcus might run. Soon. They want to arrest him before he has the chance. I looked toward the stairs where I could hear Marcus showering, singing the same off-key song as always. In a few hours, FBI agents might be walking through my front door to arrest my children's father. When? I whispered. Potentially today. They're waiting for one more piece of evidence, something about overseas accounts that should come through this morning. Emma's voice cut through my panic. Mommy, I forgot to tell you. Daddy said he might take Tyler and me somewhere special this weekend. Just the three of us. He said it would be a surprise adventure. The sandwich fell from my hands onto the floor. Marcus was planning to run with my children. Patricia, I said, my voice shaking, they need to arrest him now. I hung up with Patricia and immediately called Emma's school, my hands trembling as I dialed. Lincoln Elementary, this is Mrs. Patterson. This is Sarah Morrison, Emma Morrison's mother. I need to speak with Principal Davidson immediately. It's an emergency. Mrs. Morrison? Is everything all right? Please, just get Principal Davidson on the phone. While I waited on hold, I watched Marcus through the kitchen window as he loaded his gym bag into the BMW. Except his gym membership had expired months ago, and that bag looked heavier than usual. My stomach dropped as I realized what I was seeing. Sarah? This is Janet Davidson. What's going on? I need you to not release Emma or Tyler to anyone except me today. Not their father, not anyone claiming to be family, not anyone with any kind of permission slip. Only me, and I need you to call me directly if anyone else tries. Sarah, that's a very unusual request. Has something happened? Marcus was walking back toward the house. I lowered my voice. Principal Davidson, please. I can't explain right now, but my children may be in danger. Promise me you won't let them leave with anyone but me. Of course. Sarah, do you need me to call the police? They're already involved. I have to go. Marcus came through the front door just as I was setting Emma's lunch in her backpack. Morning, beautiful, he said, kissing my cheek. The casual affection made my skin crawl. You're leaving early today, I observed. Yeah, got that big presentation for Johnson Industries, remember? He grabbed his coffee mug from the counter. Actually, Sarah, I was thinking, why don't I pick up the kids from school today? Maybe take them for pizza, let you have an evening to yourself. Every alarm bell in my head was screaming. That's sweet, but Emma has piano lessons at 4, and Tyler has that dentist appointment at 5. Marcus's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Right, I forgot about those. Maybe this weekend then. Actually, I was thinking we could do something really special. Maybe drive up to Wisconsin Dells, just me and the kids. Give you a whole weekend to relax. The kids love Wisconsin Dells, I said carefully. When were you thinking? This weekend. We could leave Friday after school, come back Sunday night. Friday. Today was Wednesday. He was planning to take my children out of state in less than 48 hours. Emma bounded into the kitchen with her backpack. Daddy. Did you tell Mommy about our surprise adventure? Marcus shot me a look I couldn't quite read. I was just mentioning it, sweetheart. But it might have to wait a little while. Ah, but you promised. Emma's lower lip jutted out in that way that usually melted Marcus's resolve. I know, Em. Soon, okay? Daddy just has some work things to figure out first. He knelt down to her level. But when we go, it's going to be the best adventure ever. Just you, me, and Tyler. The way he said it, like he was making a sacred promise, sent ice through my veins. This wasn't about a weekend trip. Marcus was planning to disappear with my children, and he was using their excitement to manipulate them into cooperation. My phone buzzed. Text message from an unknown number, asterisk FBI agent Jennifer Martinez. Patricia Hendricks gave me your number. We need to meet immediately. Marcus Morrison will be arrested today at 2 p.m. Are your children secure? Asterisk. I looked at the message, then at Marcus helping Emma with her jacket zipper, then at Tyler running down the stairs with his backpack dragging behind him. In 6 hours, federal agents would arrest their father for fraud and embezzlement. But first, I had to make sure he didn't disappear with them. Marcus, I said, forcing my voice to stay level, I'll drive the kids to school today. You mentioned that big presentation, you should probably get going early. He looked up from Emma's zipper, and for just a moment, I saw something calculating in his expression. Actually, I don't mind dropping them off. It's on my way. No, I said quickly, then caught myself. I mean, I'm going that direction anyway. I have a client meeting downtown at 9. Marcus stood slowly, his eyes never leaving my face. The kitchen suddenly felt smaller, more dangerous. Sarah, he said quietly, is everything okay? You seem tense this morning. Both kids were looking between us now, sensing the undercurrent they couldn't name. Emma's hand found Tyler's, and something about that small gesture of protection broke my heart and strengthened my resolve simultaneously. Just work stress, I lied. You know how crazy things get with quarterly reports. Marcus nodded, but his smile didn't reach his eyes. Right. Well, I should get going then. He kissed both kids goodbye, lingering longer than usual with each hug. Be good for mommy today, okay? And remember what daddy told you about our special adventure. After he left, I immediately loaded Emma and Tyler into my Honda and drove straight to the police station. The FBI field office looked exactly like every crime drama I'd ever watched, sterile fluorescent lighting, cheap furniture, and the persistent smell of burnt coffee. Agent Jennifer Martinez was younger than I'd expected, maybe mid-30s, with kind eyes that didn't match the gravity of what she was telling me. Mrs. Morrison, your husband has been under federal surveillance for 7 months. The pharmaceutical fraud ring he's involved in has stolen approximately $2.3 million across 6 states. I sat in the uncomfortable metal chair, Emma and Tyler coloring at a small table across the room while a female agent named Sarah kept them distracted with juice boxes and crackers. My children had no idea their entire world was about to implode. How much of that was Marcus? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. Based on our investigation, approximately $400,000. The money from your grandmother's account was just the beginning. Agent Martinez opened a thick folder. We traced wire transfers to accounts in Jessica Chen's name, Amy Walsh's name, and 3 other women in different states. He's been running this con for almost 2 years. 3 other women. The scope kept expanding like some nightmare that refused to end. The house appraisal you mentioned to Patricia Hendricks? He already has a buyer lined up. The sale was supposed to close Monday morning. He would have walked away with $340,000 in equity from a house you purchased before your marriage. My hands were shaking as I processed this. Agent Martinez, he asked the kids about a weekend trip to Wisconsin. This morning he tried to pick them up from school. We know. We've been monitoring his communications. She pulled out printed emails. He has plane tickets to Mexico City for Friday evening. 3 tickets, him and both children. The room tilted sideways. He was going to kidnap them. The legal term is international parental abduction, but yes. Once he crossed into Mexico, extradition would have been extremely difficult. Agent Martinez leaned forward. Mrs. Morrison, we need your help with the arrest. Marcus can't know we're coming. Tyler looked up from his coloring book. Mommy, when are we going home? Soon, baby, I called back, my voice somehow steady. Keep coloring that dinosaur. Agent Martinez waited until Tyler's attention returned to his crayons. We need you to get Marcus to come home at exactly 2:15 p.m. Can you do that? What do I tell him? That there's an emergency with one of the children at school. Something that requires both parents but isn't life-threatening. Maybe Tyler got hurt on the playground and needs stitches. Important enough that he'd leave work immediately, minor enough that he wouldn't panic. I thought about all the nights I'd lain awake planning my chess moves, documenting every lie, building my perfect case. Now federal agents were asking me to help orchestrate my husband's arrest in our front yard where my children might see. What happens to Emma and Tyler during the arrest? We'll have family services on site. They can stay with you, but there will be procedures, interviews, paperwork. Mrs. Morrison, your children are going to need counseling. Professional help processing what their father did. Emma suddenly appeared beside my chair, her small hand touching my arm. Mommy, you look scared. Are you okay? I pulled her onto my lap, breathing in her strawberry shampoo scent. I'm fine, sweetheart. Just talking to some nice people about boring grown-up stuff. Is Daddy in trouble? She asked, those perceptive brown eyes studying my face. Before I could answer, Agent Martinez's phone rang. She stepped away to take the call, leaving me holding my daughter while trying to figure out how to explain that their father was a criminal without destroying their ability to trust anyone ever again. Mrs. Morrison, Agent Martinez returned, her expression grim. We have a problem. Marcus just withdrew $23,000 in cash from 3 different banks. And he's not at his office. My blood turned to ice. Where is he? We don't know. His phone went dark an hour ago. She looked at Emma in my arms, then back at me. We think he knows we're coming. The burner phone buzzed in my purse at 3:47 p.m., just as Agent Martinez was explaining how witness protection might work if Marcus had connections to organized crime. I didn't recognize the number, but somehow I knew it was him before I even answered. Sarah. Marcus's voice was calm, almost conversational. I think we need to talk. Agent Martinez was immediately at my side, headphones appearing from nowhere as she gestured frantically for me to keep him talking. Emma and Tyler were still coloring across the room, oblivious to the fact that their father had just called from whatever hole he'd crawled into. Marcus, where are you? Your office said you never came in today. I'm sure they did. He paused, and I could hear traffic in the background. Sarah, I need you to listen very carefully. I know about your meetings with Patricia Hendricks. I know about your little documentation project. I even know about your conversation with Jessica and Amy yesterday. The room went silent except for Tyler humming while he colored. Agent Martinez was typing furiously on her laptop, probably trying to trace the call. I don't know what you're talking about, I said, but my voice came out shakier than I intended. Marcus laughed, but there was no warmth in it. Come on, sweetheart. We've been married 8 years. I know when you're lying. The term of endearment sounded obscene coming from his mouth now. Did you really think I wouldn't notice you following me? Did you think I was too stupid to realize my laptop had been accessed? Agent Martinez held up a notepad, asterisk keep him talking. We're tracking the call, asterisk. Marcus, whatever's going on, we can work it out. Come home and we'll figure this out together. Together? His voice turned sharp. Like how we were going to review our finances together? Sarah, I've been 3 steps ahead of you this entire time. While you were playing detective, documenting hotel receipts like some pathetic private investigator, I was moving everything offshore. My stomach dropped. What do you mean, everything? The house sale closed this morning. Surprise. I had power of attorney from the refinancing paperwork you signed without reading. I could hear him smiling through the phone. $340,000, wired to an account in Grand Cayman that doesn't exist on any paperwork you've ever seen. Agent Martinez was shaking her head, mouthing impossible while typing even faster. Marcus, that's my house. I bought that house before we were married. And you added me to the deed when we refinanced. Very trusting of you. The background noise changed. He was moving, maybe getting into a car. Oh, and Sarah? That college fund you thought I stole? I didn't steal it. I invested it. In Bitcoin. In 2019. Want to guess what 96,000 in Bitcoin from 2019 is worth now? I couldn't speak. The mathematics were staggering. That's right, sweetheart. About $400,000. All sitting in a digital wallet that the FBI will never find because it doesn't technically exist anywhere they can subpoena. Agent Martinez was frantically writing notes, showing them to other agents who kept appearing and disappearing from the room. This was spiraling beyond anything they'd prepared for. Where are you going, Marcus? Somewhere warm. Somewhere without extradition treaties. Somewhere I can watch Emma and Tyler grow up without their mother poisoning them against me. The threat was subtle but unmistakable. He wasn't just running, he was still planning to take my children. Marcus, please. They need stability. They need their father. And Sarah? I'm going to make sure they get exactly that. The line went dead. Agent Martinez was already barking orders into her radio before I could process what Marcus had just threatened. All units, suspect is mobile and has made threats regarding parental abduction. I repeat, Marcus Morrison is considered armed and dangerous. Armed? The word came out as a whisper. Marcus doesn't own any guns. Mrs. Morrison, men who steal $500,000 and threaten to kidnap children don't usually limit themselves to financial crimes. Agent Martinez's phone was ringing constantly now. We need to get you and your children to a safe location immediately. Emma looked up from her coloring, finally sensing the adult panic that had been building around her. Mommy, why is everyone talking so loud? Before I could answer, Agent Martinez's partner rushed into the room. Jennifer, we've got a problem. The house sale Marcus mentioned? It's real. The deed transfer went through at 11:43 a.m. today, and the funds were wired to 3 different offshore accounts. My legs gave out. I actually sank back into the metal chair as the reality hit me. He sold my house. The house where my children sleep. Where we've lived for 6 years. It gets worse, the partner continued. We ran the Bitcoin wallet claim through our cybercrimes unit. If he really did convert that money in 2019, and if he's been moving it through cryptocurrency exchanges. He showed Agent Martinez something on his tablet. He could have anywhere between $800,000 and $1.2 million that we can't touch. Tyler dropped his crayon and ran over to me. Mommy, you're crying again. I don't like it when you cry. I pulled both kids close to me, inhaling their familiar scent while my entire world collapsed. Marcus hadn't just been planning to leave me, he'd been systematically stealing everything I'd worked for over the past decade, using my own children as leverage to ensure I couldn't stop him. Agent Martinez knelt down beside my chair. Sarah, I need you to think. Does Marcus have any specific places he mentioned wanting to visit? Any friends in other countries? Any patterns in his travel history? He always talked about Costa Rica, I said numbly. Said it was perfect for retirement because American dollars went so far there. And my blood chilled as I remembered something. Last year, he insisted we get passports for Emma and Tyler. Said we might take a family vacation to Europe someday. I thought it was sweet that he was planning ahead. Do you know where those passports are now? I closed my eyes, trying to remember. His office safe. The combination is Emma's birthday, 0-5-1-2-1-6. 2 agents were already heading for the door when Agent Martinez's phone rang again. She stepped away to answer it, her face growing paler with each word she heard. When she returned, her expression was grim. Sarah, we just got word from the school district. Someone called Lincoln Elementary 20 minutes ago claiming to be you, saying there was a family emergency and that Marcus would be picking up both children immediately. My heart stopped. But the kids are here. They're right here with me. Which means Marcus doesn't know that yet. He's probably on his way to their school right now, expecting to find Emma and Tyler waiting for him. Agent Martinez was already coordinating with dispatch. We have units heading to the school, but Sarah, when Marcus realizes the children aren't there. She didn't need to finish the sentence. When Marcus discovered that his plan had been thwarted, when he realized that I'd been working with federal agents, there was no telling what he might do. My phone buzzed with another message from the same burner number, *, nice try, Sarah. But I know exactly where my children are. See you soon, *. He was coming for us. The FBI safe house looked like every suburban home in America, beige siding, small front yard, the kind of place you'd drive past without a second glance. Which was exactly the point. Emma and Tyler were in the back bedroom playing video games with Agent Sarah, blissfully unaware that their father was somewhere out there with over $1 million and a burning need for revenge. It had been 6 hours since Marcus's last message. 6 hours of federal agents rotating shifts, checking windows, monitoring communications. 6 hours of me sitting in a generic living room, watching my children's innocence evaporate in real time. Agent Martinez hung up her phone and walked over to where I was pretending to read a magazine. Sarah, we've got him. My heart lurched. Where? Chicago O'Hare Airport. TSA flagged him trying to board a flight to Mexico City. She sat down beside me, her expression carefully neutral. He had 3 tickets. Him, Emma, and Tyler. What happens now? He's in federal custody. The charges include wire fraud, embezzlement, money laundering, and attempted international parental kidnapping. Sarah, with what we've documented, he's looking at 15 to 20 years minimum. 20 years. Emma would be 28 when he got out. Tyler would be 26. They'd be adults, possibly with children of their own, and their father would still be a stranger who tried to steal their childhood. Did he? I couldn't finish the question. The offshore accounts? We're working with international authorities to freeze everything we can find. The house sale is more complicated, but there are legal remedies for fraud victims. You won't get it all back immediately, but Sarah, you're not going to be destitute. Agent Martinez's phone rang again. She answered it, walked to the kitchen, spoke in hushed tones for several minutes. When she returned, something had changed in her expression. What is it? I asked, though I wasn't sure I could handle any more revelations. Marcus wants to make a deal. Full financial disclosure in exchange for a plea agreement that would let him see Emma and Tyler before sentencing. The audacity was breathtaking. After stealing our home, our savings, our security, after planning to kidnap my children and disappear to Central America, Marcus wanted to negotiate visitation rights. Absolutely not, I said immediately. Sarah, hear me out. If he provides complete documentation of every account, every transaction, every hidden asset, we could recover significantly more money. Money that would go directly to Emma and Tyler's future. I looked toward the back bedroom where I could hear my children laughing at something on the TV screen. Normal kid laughter, the kind I hadn't heard in months while I was documenting their father's crimes night after night. What would the meeting look like? Supervised. Federal facility. 30 minutes maximum. And Sarah, you'd be in complete control. You could end it at any time. 3 weeks later, I sat across from Marcus in a sterile conference room at the Metropolitan Correctional Center. He looked smaller somehow, wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of the expensive suits I'd paid for. His hair was already showing gray roots without his monthly salon appointments. Hello, Sarah. Marcus. He slid a thick folder across the metal table. Everything's in there. Every account, every password, every Bitcoin wallet. The Cayman accounts, the Swiss accounts, even a few I never mentioned. He paused. It's about 1.4 million total. I opened the folder without looking at him. Pages and pages of bank statements, cryptocurrency records, wire transfer receipts. A complete roadmap to recovering my children's future. Why? I asked, still not meeting his eyes. Because they deserve better than what I gave him. His voice cracked slightly. Sarah, I know you'll never forgive me. I know Emma and Tyler will grow up knowing I'm the man who tried to steal their lives. But maybe if they have their college funds back, if you can buy another house, if they never have to worry about money. He took a shaky breath. Maybe someday they'll understand that I love them enough to give it all back. I closed the folder and looked at my husband, my ex-husband, for what I knew would be the last time. Marcus, they would have preferred having a father who never stole from them in the first place. He nodded, tears running down his cheeks. I know. Sarah, I know. I stood up and walked toward the door, then stopped. Without turning around, I said, for what it's worth, the man I married 8 years ago would have been proud of the children we raised. It's a shame he died somewhere along the way. The guard opened the door, and I walked out of Marcus Morrison's life forever. 6 months later, Emma and Tyler helped me plant flowers in the front yard of our new house, smaller than the old one, but ours free and clear. The recovered funds had been enough for a down payment, college accounts for both kids, and a small emergency fund that no one else could touch. Emma looked up from her tulip bulbs, dirt streaking her cheek. Mom, do you think Daddy's okay? It was the first time either of them had mentioned Marcus in weeks. I think Daddy made some very bad choices, and now he's learning to live with the consequences. Will he ever come home? Tyler asked quietly. I sat back on my heels, choosing my words carefully. Tyler, sometimes people make choices that hurt the people they love. When that happens, those people have to stay away for a long time, even if they wish they could come back. Both kids nodded solemnly. They were too young to understand the full scope of their father's betrayal, but old enough to grasp that some mistakes couldn't be undone. My phone buzzed with a text from Patricia, Sarah, the final asset recovery came through. Total recovered, $1,847,000. After legal fees and taxes, Emma and Tyler's college funds are fully restored, plus interest. You did it, I screenshotted the message and saved it to a folder labeled New Beginning 2024. The chess game was over. And this time, I'd won.